Alright, so today was not the best day, but going into the day, we had this consolidation range here, and we had this 1 hour fair value gap on NQ that we were holding. We also had the wick of this 1 hour wick here. If you look at the fib, you look at consequent encroachment of that wick, we were starting to hold that in the morning. So I was looking to see if we would form any sort of model to the upside. But going into the day, if you look, in the London session, we took out Asia low, then we took out Asia high, and then as we started to come back down into the New York session, we took out this swing low here, including London low, and then we started to displace back to the upside. So I was assuming all of this low resistance liquidity here, all of these highs that weren't taken, we're going to get ran through. We were going to take out London high, and we were going to take out this high as well, but I was looking for just an internal model to just play these highs here. So zooming in a bit further on the 1 minute. So we come down this red line, that's London low. We take that and immediately rip to the upside. So I was looking in here if we were going to form any sort of model in here. So taking a fib, we came down into OTE of this range. So going into the replay mode, we came into OTE the range, we made this swing low, we bounced, we came down, took that low, we had this little 1 minute bearish fair value gap that we ripped through to the upside. So zooming in a bit further, the trade that I ended up taking, I assumed that this was going to be the model right here. So you have like sell side of the curve, and I assumed this was going to be buy side of the curve, and I was just going to be targeting this internal high here, expecting that the draw on liquidity was higher, but I was just going to look to target the low-hanging fruit area. So we had our market structure shift to the upside, tap into the inverse. Right as we started to wick off of it, I went long, stopped below these lows, and when we displaced to the upside pretty hard, I ended up adding a contract here. And today was a no news Monday, so normally, my normal size is one contract. Every now and then I'll do something like this when the situation, in my opinion, is correct. And the reason why I'm totally okay with adding to my position here is because what I did was, once the move started to look like I'm definitely on side here, right? Like it looks like we're going to this high, and I add, my stop loss is not staying below this low, right? So originally I had one contract here. My stop loss was almost 8 points, right? When I add in here, I bring my stop to this low. So for both contracts. So if you see now it's 6.25, so now it's an 8.25 point stop loss, right? So originally 7.75, now it's 8.25. So I added half a point of risk to possibly add, nearly double my reward, right? So instead of, losing whatever $15, it like turns into whatever 18, 19 bucks or something like that. That math is definitely wrong, actually. Whatever, close enough. So I assumed this was going to be the draw. Added in here, and it ended up working out really well off the start of it. So I think adding here is great, and my plan was I was going to take one off at these equal highs, and then I was going to let the second one run, and if we did hit these highs, I would have then moved my stop above break even after that, and it would have been a risk off trade, and I would have went to target the London high. But anyway, so it ends up failing, so I get stopped out here for, that 8-point loss. Let's get out of replay mode. So I was just a bit early. I ended up being part of the generated liquidity. Like, we ended up taking this little high here and then just immediately dumping down, so I got stopped out at this white level here. But then we come down again, we sweep this low that we made, and that's where we formed the real buy model here. Now, there were opportunities to get long here, of course. You had this low, we bounced, we took this low, so here's the start of your internal model. We're respecting this order block here on the 15-second, we're bouncing. You definitely could have found some opportunity there. I think we had this little 30-second fair value gap in there that we respected multiple times. It just didn't really look the cleanest to me, and seeing this little trend line here, I was kind of hoping that we were going to come down and take this low and then sort of form something like this, come down, take this low, and then kind of have a displacement move like that. But anyway, so we start rallying to the upside, looking at the 1 minute. We form this clean 1 minute fair value gap. I guess this is your like your unicorn setup, right? You have the breaker here, the 1 minute breaker, pretty massive breaker, but you bounced, took liquidity, and then jumped above it. But the reason why I didn't enter here is because we tapped just above this high here and then instantly rejected. Looking back here, that's exactly what stopped me out, right? Like, it looks the same. You come a couple points above this high, instantly reject. I got stopped out off of that, so we came just above this high, instantly rejected. So I was looking at this 1 minute because I still thought the model looked good, but I wasn't just going to blindly long this. I wanted to see, maybe us come down here, bounce, have some sort of model like this. But regardless, we ended up bouncing off of that 1 minute, and that was the play right there. So once we took all of this, I won't lie, a little upset. These are usually, if I look back in my journal, things like that is usually the spark of a pretty bad day, because the analysis is pretty correct. I was expecting all of this to happen, and it happened, but I ended up losing money on it. So usually that kind of, just like anybody else, that would usually make me a little upset, and then I end up making some poor decisions. So I tried to stay as disciplined as possible, but I probably should have been done after that, because if you think about it, this whole objective here, this whole model is complete. But then looking even further, right, if you zoom out, let me just delete some of this stuff so it looks a little cleaner. now you have an AMD model, right? You have your accumulation here, you have your manipulation at the highs, and once you start to reject, you assume that we're going to distribute all the way to this sell side level. Right, your manipulation, and then you expect to come all the way down to the low of the range. So I was looking for this to happen, but the way that it happened was just not a way that I was going to be able to take advantage of this. We did have the lunch high, so this was just like a swing high. This was the lunch high, and right after 1 o'clock or so, 1:10, we took that high, formed a little SMT with ES, and then just straight lined to the downside. So where is this? You had your SMT here, right? ES didn't come take that high, and then even zooming in here, there was just, no setup here. There was no pullback to a fair value gap or anything. It just completely straight lined all the way down to that sell side level. So at this point, I definitely should have been done, because not only did this model play out, but you had the entire accumulation, manipulation, distribution, that entire model played out as well. On a 15-minute chart, even a 1-hour chart, like this whole model had played out. What opportunity is going to present itself after that, right? Probably nothing too good. Like, if anything, this is a higher time frame, like market structure shift. You would want to wait for, a pullback into discount of this range. So we have this big 1-hour fair value gap. I'll look for some sort of sell model in here in the future, but I made poor decisions, as I usually do after getting tilted from a loss like that, and I tried to stay as disciplined as possible. And I don't really think the trade was like that bad. I just think the context of it, like, after completing all of these models, keep in mind it's a no news Monday too. Like, what is this, almost 3 o'clock? Not to say that 3 o'clock price action is bad. I mean, there's obviously algorithmic price action going on at the 3 to 4 and everything like that, but at this point in the day, I should have just stepped away. But anyway, I didn't, so we're going to review that. So 5-minute fair value gap here. I wasn't going to take any shorts in here because we had just taken this sell side level, but once we displaced through it pretty heavily and then came back to this 5-minute, I had a bearish bias rather than a bullish bias at this point. So looking here, we had this high, right? We reject a little bit, we come up, we take it, boom, big displacement to the downside. What do we have? 1-minute fair value gap. We also had this little 1-minute fair value gap in here, which we like perfectly respected. So I'm thinking, all right, bearish fair value gaps are getting respected. We're in sell side of the curve to go take this low. This 1-minute was discounted, so you come up to the 50%. And then let's zoom in. So looking at the 15-second, I tried to overlap the models. We had some of these lows here, or some of these highs. We take out the high, displacement through this. So that was, in my mind, the little market structure shift. 15-second fair value gap. We tapped into it, started to wick off. I went short. and I actually couldn't place my stop loss for whatever reason. Like, my phone was just, I don't know, it was bugging out. I couldn't, like, place a stop loss. It was saying that the stop loss had to be, like, below my order, so I was confused. I was like, am I in a long right now? Like, what's going on? Whatever. And then, so whatever, once I saw us pushing up to this high, I just closed the position with a market order. But looking back, like, this was horrible risk to reward. I mean, it was 2-1, but realistically, I was probably looking to take this low. Just to play, the internal model, and so that's pretty horrible risk to reward. So yeah, just poor trade. But later on, we ended up forming an SMT, taking out this internal high, displacement lower, 1 minute fair value gap. This was like right at market close. We tapped into that, but I wouldn't have been taking a short here anyway. I would have looked for an internal model, and we ended up selling off and taking out that low. So regardless, I mean, this was not the best trade, but it happens. I think overall, not horrible. I just think after all of these objectives are taken, you do all these models, right? It's just, you're bound to not really see the best action after that. So just off of the context, even if the model looks decent, I shouldn't be taking trades here. I should be waiting for pullback to OTE or something of this range, and try to play a short somewhere in here. Overall, though, not upset with this. I think I managed that position well. I think I added to the position well. I didn't add much at all to my risk. Nearly doubled my reward potential. I think that's a great system to it. So analysis was great. I thought we were going to go take out these highs. We did. Once we started rejecting, I thought we were going to form AMD. We did. So, not all bad, right? Got to think of the positives. My analysis was correct. Execution was lacking. So, throw it in the journal and on to the next one, right? So, going into tomorrow, I don't particularly know. We'll have to see what happens overnight. But I'd like to possibly see a retracement into this area. Look for something like this. We got this 1 hour. Maybe we see something along the lines. I don't know what's going to happen in the overnight, but if I were to play along here, or short here, I'd want to see us form some sort of internal model like this, and I would try to overlap the time frames. You got your low resistance liquidity, sell side, try to play some sort of internal model in here on a small time frame to go target those lows. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully tomorrow will be a different story, but we'll see. Just gonna try to keep it more disciplined. Just gotta sharpen up a bit. Can't be slacking, taking mediocre opportunity. We gotta wait for the A+ opportunity. Nothing less than A+. So just gotta tighten up a bit and try to stay as disciplined as I can. So if I take a trade tomorrow, I will make another recap. So see you then. Peace.